Hi friends, and welcome to Wives vs World. I'm Anya.
I'm Jackie.
And today we want to show you how we went about building our new greenhouse.
Hey!
And with this project we are launching a little series of videos where we do DIY projects because we love doing DIY.
We love watching DIY.
And we thought that that space could use a little bit of representation as well.
A little lesbian touch.
So if you, like us, are into DIY or just want to watch us fool around with power tools, you can
Stick around.
Come along. Hopefully it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think this is like one way to see this is if we can do it, everyone can do it. So there's no need to be afraid, even though power tools and building and stuff, a lot can go wrong.
It can be really scary.
Yeah.
It's good to just throw yourself into it and see how it goes.
The mantra is, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Let's get to it and let's see how we built this greenhouse.
So let me set the scene. It's autumn, it's 2020, it's getting colder, it's getting darker, it's getting more pumpkin spicy, and here we are trying to build a greenhouse. We have dreamed of having a greenhouse here for such a long time, and in 2020 some of our friends told us that they had found an unassembled greenhouse that had never been used, and all the parts were still there, and they asked us if we were interested. And of course we were, because it's not every day you come across a free greenhouse. So they were kind enough to drive it the whole way here.
So before we even started assembling the greenhouse, there were a few things we had to do. And the very first thing was to lay a foundation. So we had Jackie's dad come over for a weekend and teach us how to lay bricks. And so we gained a new skill. This process was relatively straightforward, so we'll spare you the details. Then we got to the greenhouse. Step one was putting these rubber thingies all around every metal part. And that took a while.
Oh, it took so long! Assembling the actual skeleton of the greenhouse proved to be too challenging for just two people, so we had to bring in an impartial consultant. Anya's dad.
Thank you, Dad.
Okay, so why did we want to have that greenhouse again? It seems like a lot of work.
Well, we've always dreamt of it, haven't we? Ever since we got together, we've had things growing in our windowsill, and we've tried to grow tomatoes and eggplants and cucumbers just in pots in the windowsill. And we've just always dreamt of having lots of space for that, to grow all the tomatoes we could possibly eat. And luck just happened to smile upon us and find someone who said, hey, don't you want a free greenhouse?
There's something really cool about learning new skills, like to broaden your horizon and maybe feel like you can take a bit more care of yourself and the people around you. And I think farming, or at least growing a little bit, is a step on the way.
And there's just something really beautiful about seeing things grow and see how the magic in a flower becoming something that you can eat, food for you. I think that is real life magic in front of your eyes.
The next step involved washing all the windows of the greenhouse. As we said, it had been lying around for years outside, so in these packs of glass, each window was separated with a piece of fine paper, and that paper had slowly disintegrated over time and stuck to the glass. So every single piece of glass had to be washed.
So that took 1 million years. Also, that's not our dog.
Now what is that dog doing here?
So it would obviously have been easier to go out and buy a new greenhouse instead of spending all this time washing these windows. But first of all, obviously it's free. It was much cheaper. We didn't have to spend the money buying the actual greenhouse.
It's free real estate.
But it's also, we want to reuse or repurpose or thrift anytime we can. We like our things to be used. It saves the environment and saves a lot of money, and it's an overall good thing to try to see if you can find it used before you find something new.
So we were ready for assembly now, and as you can see, this was autumn 2020, right after our honeymoon, because you can see it looks very cold, and you can see that I'm wearing a mask. This was just after a lot of like heightened emotions surrounding the wedding and the honeymoon. So having to just come completely down to earth to a tangible task such as framing a greenhouse was actually just what we needed.
Getting the first windows in proved to be quite tricky at first. I feel like all this DIY stuff can seem really intimidating before you start, but it can be really rewarding throwing yourself into a project and watch it come together before you. It's daunting and scary, sure, but if you just do it, come what may, you've tried something and gotten some good experiences from it, even if it didn't work out as you wanted.
But luckily, this was shaping up to work, despite some initial concerns about whether we could actually do any of it ourselves. Like, it was hard work and it took way longer than anticipated, but bit by bit, we were actually looking at a real greenhouse that we'd build.
Throughout our lives, we've always been told that stuff like putting up wallpaper or painting or building something can be a test of the strength of your relationship. And I guess that means that it can be so frustrating that you just want to quit and you start bickering and arguing because it just doesn't work out the way you want it to. I found that this stuff is a really great way to do something with your partner. Even though it's really hard, it's something that you're doing together, and I find that infinitely romantic. You grow together, you level up, you learn new skills. The whole party benefits.
And that's it. We did it. By the end, it was mid-November. It was cold, it was raining, and it was a pretty weird time. I was out of a job, you were on sick leave from school, so the only thing we could do was to throw ourselves into projects like this to keep the anxiety and the existential dread of a pandemic-ridden world and no clear direction in either of our lives at bay. But we did it. We laid the foundation for a little summer paradise. And this year, we got to literally harvest the fruits of our labor.
And that's it. We hope you found this entertaining, and we have a few of these little DIY videos coming up. So we hope to see you next time. Bye!
Bye!